Working with a patient organiser myself, sometimes patient organisations are misrepresented. Sometimes people think they're just tea and sympathy and sitting around and everybody feeling a bit sorry for themselves. That's not what patient organisations are. There are loads of professional people working out there in patient organisations who really, really care and who are doing what the Max Appeal and what the 22Q associations are doing. And the ladies illustrated it absolutely perfectly. We have a little bit of extra time. We're going to go on until about 10 to before we do the poster award. So I'm going to ask the people from the last session just to come up to the panel again. And if anybody has any questions, either from the last session or for any of the people who spoke in this session.
My name is Lee Bradford, or my media name is Lee Murray. I was diagnosed with LCH, or histiocytosis, which affects 1 in 200,000. And I was diagnosed with diabetes insipidus, which is kind of a neurological condition. And then when I was 13, I was diagnosed with
the difficulties I think that a lot of families have is that nobody's putting these together for families, and Niamh, you were probably seeing loads and loads of different people who are telling you all sorts of different things, and we often sometimes find that people are being shoved from one place to another, and there's really nobody trying to put all that into context for you. And in fact, it turns out to be very difficult then on the professional side for people to actually put a load of those things into context. And the one thing I suppose that I'd want to be trying to reassure you on, and I mean to some extent, sort of promising things further down the line is very little reassurance, but things are moving very fast, and the technology in terms of understanding disorders is moving fast. What I've been talking about so far, and what a lot of us have been talking about from the medical side, if you like, has been very much on the basis of getting a diagnosis. And Gillian, you mentioned there about the importance of getting a diagnosis, and that's a very vital thing. I would see the importance of a diagnosis, and I think a lot of them, well, certainly all the patients that come to see me, think the importance of a diagnosis is, right, now what? You've got this label now, or so you've had all these multiple different labels potentially, and we've maybe tried to put them all together. Can we put them all together into one thing and sort of say this is why this set of problems arose, and then right, we're going to start trying to do something here to try and make life better. Sometimes getting the label or getting the reason is very, very helpful in itself, because it kind of gives you a sense of power over it. There are lots of indigenous cultures around the world that sort of say once you know your enemy's name, then you have a sense of power over him. And I think a lot of rare disorders, the problem is we don't have that name, and then therefore you feel a bit more vulnerable with that. But I don't know if that sort of helps to contextualise what you're saying there. But certainly we would want to be joining you on the journey with trying to figure out what is going on and fix things. Does that help? Yeah.
Yeah, it did help, and it kind of sums up my feelings. But I found myself, through Facebook, I found a treatment for my current condition. Over 7 years. And I think that with what you were saying, with this new technology that kind of communicating with the patient would be helpful. But my real question is how come doctors who have this technology, why aren't they communicating with the patient?
Yeah, that's a really that's the key aspect of it. Communication isn't a one-way thing. It's not just sort of the doctor sort of telling you the way it's going to be. We need to be listening to what your needs are, and we need to be then thinking and working in partnership with people, because our patients are not coming to us sort of trying to ask you do everything for me. Our patients are generally nearly always willing to. In fact, they have to, because by definition they must. They're putting the majority of the effort in here. And it's up to us to help guide that process to a certain degree and find out what is happening, what's available. Now, a lot of the time, nobody is going to beat around the bush here. There are loads of things that we don't know and that we don't understand. The research maybe hasn't been done yet. The scientific knowledge isn't available yet. And in fact, a lot of even sometimes the best ideas that we have turn out to be completely wrong. And so we're rooting around in the dark. And I think in a lot of these conditions, there's no magic bullet yet, or there's no solution that we can offer, but the very least we can do is listen and try and find out more. Because if we're saying we don't have an answer, it's because we don't know, and the reason we don't know is that the research maybe hasn't been done yet, or we haven't found out yet, or maybe we're not even asking the right questions. So we all need to keep asking the questions, and in particular, I don't mind being asked hard questions by my patients, which is why I'm probably still doing my job, because we get asked nothing but hard questions. But like it was said earlier on, there are no bad questions. There can be hard questions, but they're not bad questions, and they need to keep being asked.